Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for Get Out. Jordan Peele from Key & Peele decided to make a horror movie. This is his first endeavor since his absence when Key & Peele got split up. Keegan-Michael Key sort of went on to do things. He did Don't Think Twice, he did Pitch Perfect 2, but Jordan Peele had sort of been missing, and this is really Jordan Peele's first endeavor into something else that isn't Key & Peele, and this film has been getting a lot of great reviews. I bet that you've heard of it, but Get Out is currently sitting at a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes with one rotten review and over 150 fresh reviews. It was once at 100%, and because of only one rotten review, it is at 99. And a lot of reason why people were acclaiming this as a fantastic film was because of its themes. On surface level, it's a horror movie, but it's said to also have a lot to do about racism. Jordan Peele created this movie because he said that, sometimes he'll be in a room where he's the only African-American person. And when this happens, and there's a bunch of white people around him, he feels uncomfortable and he doesn't know what to do. So he wanted to create a movie that simulates that feeling. So obviously this film tackles racism, hidden racism, not racism that a lot of people know that they're doing, but they do end up doing. And this was a really deep film as far as that goes. You had a lot of films recently that dealt with racism. You had your more traditional dramas, such as Hidden Figures or Best Picture winner last year, Moonlight. But you also had some other films that weren't just dramas, such as Zootopia, which is another film that dealt with racism. There's been a lot of films about that topic recently, and Jordan Peele's horror movie is the first horror movie in recent memory to tackle that theme. The film revolves around an interracial couple that goes on between two people. When the African-American man goes to his white girlfriend's house, he starts realizing all these weird things are happening, and he doesn't feel quite right where he is, and that's really what the film is about. Get Out, very excited for it, definitely. Moonlight, my favorite film of last year, also was about racism. The amazing reviews, everything. I was just built up with excitement for Get Out, and I can say that this absolutely was a film that that everyone should be excited for. Get Out is a fantastic film. It's easy to just say, oh, this film was scary, and that's why it's so great. But I don't want to do that. I want to go into the reasons why Get Out was scary. And a lot of great horror movies are scary for the similar reason that Get Out is. The Shining and Alien are my examples here. These two films both leave you with a lot of questions. You're unsure about every single thing that goes on in the movie. You get just enough to fill in the blanks and understand what's going on, but they leave a lot up into interpretation, and there's a lot of open questions left, and Get Out does the exact same thing. They set up this crazy place, and when you realize what's going on, you get a lot of those answers, a lot of those questions answered, but there's still a batch of questions that you don't get answered. And a lot of things in it just you're unsure about, and you never quite get an answer to them. And that makes it so that when you leave the film and you go on to do other things, you're thinking about it, because you're thinking about those unanswered questions, trying to think about, could it be that this is this way? Could it be that this is this way? A lot of great films, especially horror films, do that. And Get Out is another example of one of those. And throughout the movie, they also do that. They open it so that it's sort of like a family film. It's like a nice film. It's got that, well, maybe not family film is the right saying for it, but it sort of feels like a romantic comedy at first with the drama aspect to it. And then when weird things start happening, it's very, very weird. And that was very well done. And as it goes along, you start getting all these questions about what's happening. And when they're answered, you say, okay, this part was answered, but what about these other few parts? That's not what I quite don't understand. And for that, throughout the film, you're thinking about that. And afterwards, you're thinking about it, which is truly a testament to how great this film is. There's also a lot of creepy imagery, and something that I have to applaud them for is that they didn't resolve into cheap scares. Are there a few in there? Yes, there are a few cheap scares. Most of them actually happen within like a couple minutes, which is interesting. But there are a few in there, but there are also just as many, if not more, scenes of jump scares that do not have any noise. From the very first opening scene, they have a jump scare that has no noise, and then as it goes on, a song starts to go over it, and that really starts raising your anxiety for what's going on, and then it cuts to the other thing, and that just was a chilling opening. And the reason it was so great is because they didn't have a giant noise to make you jump in your seat when there's the jump scare. Instead, they just showed it happening naturally, and then had a song go over it, and that was fantastic. Something else that most horror films do that this one didn't is that it did not have stupid characters. I feel like every single character in this movie is smart. And though some may be smarter than others, they are all really, really smart people. And that made it so that you're not saying, oh, why didn't this person do this? Why did they, make this stupid decision? And it's all these constant questions. You can put yourself in like the main character's shoes and understand where he's coming from. And yet everyone else around him, they're also really smart characters, which I thought was very well done. Also, the main reason Jordan Peele created the movie was to have that uncomfortable feeling, and that is definitely there. You're constantly on edge, you constantly have anxiety, you're uncomfortable with what's going on, you're not sure about it, and especially in one of the scenes where they're having a party, there is a lot of really creepy stuff going on, and you really get to capture that, that really uncomfortable feeling. As far as bad goes, I previously mentioned they do have a few cheap scares, and at times the film is very unsubtle. Like, there's a certain thing that a character does, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a certain thing that a character does after a surprise happens, and you think, why didn't that character sort of do the same thing that he was already doing? It doesn't really make sense in that context, but a few unsubtle things there, and also the score, which I did actually really enjoy, was a tad unsubtle at times. Now, Get Out is a fantastic directorial debut from Jordan Peele. He had some fantastic actors. I didn't even mention that. The acting in this film is incredible. He made a really scary movie that was scary for the reason that a lot of the scariest films ever made are scary because of. And he made a fantastic film with a lot of uncomfortable feelings and really an experience. Get Out is a film that I absolutely loved. The more I think about it, the more I like it. And that is why I will give Get Out an 8.25 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for Get Out. What do you think of this film, and what is your favorite horror film? Comment in the comment sections below, and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.